Let's jump right into the new features we built into GVERSE 2023.1. The first feature is a new tool that lets you calculate and thematically map well and production data over legal polygons, or any polygon that you choose. It's easy to do and uses your existing map layers. This is a project area in northwest Oklahoma, and as I am sure most of you are aware, there's quite a bit of Mississippian production in northwest Oklahoma. What we want to do is sum gas production over these public land survey sections so we're able to visualize that production by section. Now first, I'll use the selection tool to select a large number of these polygons. Next, I'll invoke our new Calculate Well Data Statistics tool. Select the well base layer, and this is the well base layer I have on my map, and it can be any well base layer that you have on the map. You'll also have to select the data that you want to post. In this case, it's the cum gas production MCF. I'll go ahead and calculate that. Now that our statistics have been calculated, we'll create a LandNet layer and thematically render the sum of our gas production in each section. I'll name the layer. After creating the layer, I'll thematically render the sections based on total gas production in each section. You'll notice that the layer has been added to my map and that we have two new entity types, well statistics point and well statistics polygon, to do the rendering. Opening up layer display attributes, I'll render based on the well statistics polygon entity using my graduated colors renderer. Increase the number of intervals, perhaps to 20. Change the color, something a little hotter. Scale that. Zooming in and turning off my well base layer, you can see that the sections have been thematically mapped based on total gas production in each of the sections. You can also use the well statistics point entity renderer to render total gas production as a bubble in the center of each section. As well, you can post text in the center of the polygons. In this case, it would be gas production. Save the calculations as a report and update well grid statistics layer just like any other layer in GeoGraphix. Another great feature we've added for the 2023 release is a consolidated tops tool invoked from the tools menu in the Wellbase Information Manager. Now, folks often want to create a gold or master top from formation tops picked by several different interpreters. So let's say Bob, Mary, Sue, and John have been picking off logs in a 5-township area, either in the same area or in their individual areas. And what we want to do is consolidate their picks into a master top that serves as the gold standard for generating subsurface maps in our project. Now, in cases where multiple interpreters have picked the same top in the same well, we'll use a hierarchical source list to select the top we want as the master top. The order of the source hierarchy specified is Mary, Bob, Sue, and John. So Mary's top will become the gold top if it exists. If Mary hasn't picked that top in a certain well, we'll use Bob's top, and so on and so on. The tool is AOI specific and it's quite easy to use. First, we'll select the name of the gold source. And in this case, I've just added a gold source name gold, to my source list. Now, the source list is public, but you can select any source list you would like for generating the master tops. Now, you're probably not going to want to create a master top for every formation in the database. Large projects have many hundreds or thousands even of formation names. So I'm going to select the strat column I want to use to create the consolidated or master top. Only formations in this strat column will have their picks consolidated into the master top. In very large projects, it's also a good idea to select a well filter. The tool is actually quite performant, but if you have hundreds of thousands or even millions of picks in your project, your results may not be what you expect them to be. Now let's go ahead and run the tool. As you might expect, it's possible to generate a very large number of tops in very large projects. So you're thinking here maybe hundreds of thousands, if not millions. If you're not satisfied with the results, you can delete this master top using the delete tool in Wellbase. Make sure you select the gold top, and then all formations with that source will be deleted. And we're back to where we were. The Consolidated Tops tool is really a great way to manage formation picks in large projects with large numbers of interpreters. And this is to ensure the best possible subsurface and isochore maps are created. In Release 2023, we've added vertical section distance as a new field in the stations grid on the Survey tab in Wellbase. Vertical section distance is calculated as the straight line distance at a survey station along a line of section between the surface and bottom hole locations of the well. Vertical section distance can be posted on Wellbase layers and used for creating filters in Query Builder like any other database field. Also new in 2023, we've changed the order of the fields in the Proposed Survey tab to match the order in the Survey tab. This enables easier copying and pasting between the two tabs. In GeoGraphix 2023, we've added several new features in Zone Manager to make importing and managing data easier. Let's import some data, and I'll show you how these new features can help prevent errors and rework when importing large quantities of zone and attribute data. Navigating to the Import menu, I'll select a comma-delimited file for import. A new auto mapping feature automatically maps the column names in the import file as the attribute names. If an attribute doesn't exist for that zone in your project, a new attribute will be created on import. We can also easily clear an existing mapping and run a validation check before import to catch any formatting errors such as duplicate or missing data in the imported file. Also new in 2023 is the ability to preserve, overwrite, or replace zone attribute data in the project database. Simply select the relevant option from the drop-down list to make your choice. Finally, it's now possible to copy and merge attributes in Zone Manager. The tool is accessible from the Edit menu, and it's easy to use. From the grid, select the attributes you want to merge. Select the zone and create the attribute for the merged data. Press OK and perform the merge operation. Now this stores the merged data into the attribute you just created. A long requested feature new to 2023 is the capability to change the name of an attribute or a zone in the database. This is easily accomplished by either changing the zone name in the zone definition dialog or changing the attribute name in the Edit Project Attributes dialog. Let me demonstrate. To change the zone name, select Zones from the Edit dialog, select the zone of interest, edit, and change the name. For project attributes, navigate to Edit, select Project Attributes, select the attribute of interest, edit the attribute, and change the name in the attribute definition. Finally, we'll export zone and attribute data using the new export capabilities we've added in 2023. Individual zones and attributes can be selected for export, and the exported data can be split into separate files by zone name. New export options have also been added to Wellbase to make it easier to export just the data that you want to GeoGraphix ASCII4 and ASCII5 fixed field formats. It's now possible to limit exported data by exporting just a subset of log curves, exported tops, with their sources, and zone attributes. I can limit the curves that I want to export by selecting them here. Similarly, I can limit the formations with their sources. I'll select a couple formations for export and maybe just one or two sources. Exported zones and attributes work the same way. We've also added the capability to exclude data types you do not want to be present in the exported file by using the Exclude Tables option. Here, I just want to export my core data. By unchecking zones, tops, and curves, only core data will be present in the exported file. Limiting data this way in ASCII4 and ASCII5 exports makes it much faster to move data between large GeoGraphix projects. Moving back to mapping, let's look at our brand new distance measurement tool in GeoAtlas. The tool is invoked from the toolbar in GeoAtlas, and it's much easier to use. Both cumulative distance and distance from the last point can be measured in units of feet, miles, meters, or kilometers. The current cursor position can be read in the status bar in the lower right of the map. When finished, simply press Escape to exit from the tool. In the North American shale plays, hundreds of thousands of horizontal wells have been drilled over the last 10 years. And comparing production normalized by the lateral length of the well is critical for understanding the relative performance of wells at the field or even the basin level. Two new features in Zone Manager help us do just that. The first one generates production attributes normalized by the lateral length of the well. I'll demonstrate it now. The new Production Statistics tool is invoked from the Tools menu in Zone Manager. We're presented with a short list of inputs needed to calculate the required attribute. First, let's look at the attributes that we can generate. 18 new zone attributes can be generated using the tool, including first N months oil production, first N months average oil rate, first N months oil production per foot of lateral, and first N months oil production per foot of perfed lateral. The rest is simple. I'm going to go ahead and select first N months oil production per foot of lateral and the producing zone. The project is in the DJ Basin. It's outside of Denver. So I will go ahead and select the Niobrara Formation. The Niobrara is a prolific oil producer in the basin. Also, select first N months production. This is 90 days oil, so first 3 months will work just fine. And finally, we need to select the well inclination. Now, typically this is around the ICP, but because ICP is not readily available in vendor data, we'll input a well inclination instead. And this will be the inclination after which the well is first perfed. The lateral length of the well bore will be measured from this point to the TD of the well. Finally, I'll select a zone and zone attribute. Now, if you haven't created a zone attribute to store the data in, you can do that here in the dialog. Press OK to generate the attribute. 90-day Niobrara oil per foot of lateral length has been generated, and the data is now stored in the attribute selected. Our second new feature lets you calculate and store certain wellbore metrics as zone attributes. Like production statistics, the Survey Metrics dialog is invoked from the Tools menu in Zone Manager. 6 new attributes can be created using the tool, including lateral length by perfs, lateral start MD, lateral start TVD, lateral start TVD subsea, and whether or not the well is toe up or toe down. The inputs required are similar to the ones in production statistics. In this case, I'll enter the well inclination, the statistic that I want to calculate, and then the zone and zone attribute where I want to store the data. Pressing OK, the new attribute will be generated. The 24 new attributes added in Release 2023 are particularly useful for input into analytics tools like Spotfire and Power BI. And this is when production normalized by foot or by foot of perf lateral is needed to perform multivariate analyses. In Release 2023, we've added a new feature in Query Builder to transform the coordinate locations of well spots and survey stations to any coordinate reference system required. This feature is especially useful when generating reports that require coordinate locations be reported in a coordinate system that's not your project coordinate system. Here, I'll create a filter using the well's latitude, longitude, surface easting, and surface northing. Let me go ahead and run that filter. Surface easting and surface northing coordinates for the filtered wells are being reported in Colorado State Plane North. I'll use that feature to change the coordinate system I want those coordinates reported in to UTM Zone 13 U.S. Survey Feet. After running the filter, notice that the well, northing, and eastings have been transformed into UTM Zone 13 coordinates. Now, in some cases, it may be necessary to output projected or XY coordinates in latitude and longitude. We can accomplish this by selecting a geographical coordinate system and then rerunning the filter. Here, I'll select NAD 83 for my lat longs, and I'll rerun the filter. Notice that well latitude, longitude, surface easting, and surface northing are now reported in NAD 83 lat long coordinates. These results can be exported as a CSV file to Microsoft Excel. If I open the report in Excel, you'll see that we've added to the report header new information indicating the project database coordinate system, the map display coordinate system, and the coordinate system the report was generated in. Also using this feature, coordinates can be transformed for well surface and bottom hole locations, survey station points, and surface XY locations for your formation intercepts. Calculated rock properties and detailed well information that are generated in Zone Manager are exactly the type of interpretive data that analytics tools such as Spotfire need for analysis. For our next feature, we've enabled access to GeoGraphix zone attribute data in Spotfire, Power BI, or any other analytics software that supports an ODBC connection. So how do we do that? Well, in the 2023 release of GeoGraphix, it's easy. Simply save your Zone Manager spreadsheet as a database view. Then the contents of the spreadsheet are instantly accessible in the analytics software of your choice. Now here's where the magic happens. From the Import menu, use the Save as Spotfire Power BI View menu item to name and save a database view. And I'll do that now. So this is my Zone Manager spreadsheet. It has a filter applied. It's got 5 or 6 attributes, although you could have as many attributes as you wanted in your spreadsheet. And I'm going to go ahead and create a Spotfire view. I'll name it Webinar View 2. Well, that's it. No bells, no whistles, no bands playing. You don't need to understand the complexity of the underlying GeoGraphix data model. You don't need to perform complex data joins from multiple database tables in Spotfire. Just a few button clicks and you have all the GeoGraphix data you need for your analytics workflow ready for use in Spotfire. Now you can think of a database view as an Excel spreadsheet. In Spotfire, these spreadsheets or database views can be linked to a Spotfire visualization from the underlying data source. In our case, the underlying data source is the GeoGraphix database.